welcome to another episode of Woman 121. Today's topic is Women on the Front Line. I believe God has a sure word for you, so please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we are going to look at women on the front line, and we'll be referring to one particular woman in the Bible that we can all relate to. But before I mention her name, I just want to introduce my guest today. It's a very good friend of mine, a woman that I really love and admire. And she's Reverend Edith Adoyebo of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana.
It's good to be back, Charlotte. Thanks for inviting me again. Yeah, it's really lovely to be here. I'm Edith, Reverend Edith Adoyebo, and as you mentioned, I'm a minister at the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, UK. I look after one main congregation, a bigger congregation in East London, Upton Park, and a smaller one that I'm attached to, that's Elephant and Castle. But obviously, Presbyterian Church, you have branches all over UK. These are the two that I look after. Yeah. So that's me.
You have a secular job.
I have a secular job. That's work 9 to 5, full time, and I do this other one. And obviously, I'm also a mom, and I do one-to-one counseling with people.
Mom of 2 children.
Mom of 2 children. Yeah. So,
Women on the front line.
Yeah, you can say so. You can say so.
We will look at a woman that we want to relate to, and this woman is Deborah. Deborah, obviously, is a popular figure known by most people. So I will read her account from the book of Judges, chapter 4, verse 1 to 5. And the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord after Ehud died. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. The commander of his army was Sisera, who lived in Harosh-Hakim. Then the people of Israel cried out to the Lord for help, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and he oppressed the people of Israel cruelly for 20 years. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidot, was judging Israel at the time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the people of Israel came up to her for judgment. I just want us to relate to really Deborah's life to women on the front line. So whatever aspect of Deborah's life that you feel connected to, take it from there.
Yeah, you see, Deborah is a woman who was called to be a judge in Israel at the time that the men were being called to be judges. Right. So she was the only woman judge, and there had been men before her. Yeah. And obviously it was also a time that the Israelites will do what they're supposed to do, and then they will get punished by God giving them to the enemies, and then He raise up judges who will lead them to deliverance, and they'll go through that cycle again. They are just like we currently are.
Exactly.
So she ruled at a time like that, and we see this woman as a pillar of the society. The Bible, we don't know much about her again. Yeah. We just know her name, and we know her husband's name, and we know that she lived by her name. The name meant bee, like a busy bee, and so she was busy. Judging, and when people will come to her, just like judges do now, and settle disputes, and then also trying to discern the will of God for the people. Just imagine trying to do that, and then obviously she was a wife, had a husband. I'm sure she took her role in the house as a wife, not as the head of the house. And then that's another area, and we realize that God spoke through her and gave her the instruction for Israel to go to war, and they won the war. And even when the Israelites, normally when they go to war, they'll be led by the men, they'll be led by the head of the army, if you can call it like that. This time around, Barak, who was called to do that, said she would go only if Deborah went with him. And so she did, and then basically the Bible tells us that God said because he had done that as a man, instead of taking the lead and going, because he was hesitant, the glory will come to a woman. And then we realized at the end that it was actually another woman who actually kills the enemy.
Yeah.
When you go on to read chapter 5, it says that she was like the poem that she wrote, you know, like she was a mother to the nation, you know, so everybody could relate to her. So people would come to her and see her as a mother, that they could share their innermost thoughts, their innermost problems. They could confide in her.
That's right.
You know, and then when it came to going to war, she could mobilize, she could advise and mobilize.
The woman warrior for you.
Yes, to do what she's supposed to do that. And when she had to write a poem, we had to sit down to write a poem, then we see her doing that as well. Do you get me? And you could see that she was somebody who was agitated, who was encouraging them. Who would advise them to go to war. Because it must have been a time, because when you look at the enemy that it was controlling them, the Canaanites at that time, Jabin, they said they had 900
chariots
of iron.
Yeah.
And the Israelites were just 10,000 men. You know, I can understand why Barak hesitated.
Exactly.
But this is a woman who drew her strength from God.
And she's heard from God.
She had heard from God. And so she was not looking at the circumstances.
That's right.
She was just trusting her God.
That's right.
And saying that, look, we're going to go because God says we should go.
That's right.
He says he will give them to us. So we should go. And so follow them, you know. She didn't panic or anything. So that is one thing that I really admire about Deborah. The fact that I think she could do all those things that she did. Because you also had time with God.
That's right.
Because if you don't have time with God to listen for what he wants you to do, and to draw the strength for him to anoint you for the day, for what he wants you to do that day, you realize that you will go empty. And you will not be able, when you're empty, you can't deliver anything, can you?
No.
So I admire her, and I believe she had time with her God. And that's where she drew her strength from.
That's right.
Because just imagine that, you know, sometimes if you have so many things to do, you wait on God, he gives you the direction.
That's true.
He gives you the strategy. I'm sure God told her about the strategy, so she knew, instead of trying to work things out and wasting time. So instead of you doing that, this time is better to invest your time with God. It makes the job a bit easier for you.
True.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
And also, I think she knew who she was. She knew her identity. When you read Judges 5:7 in her poem, she said things were bad until she arose. Wow. She, Deborah, arose. She knew, she was confident that God had called her.
Yeah.
She knew that God had called her, and it wasn't man. It wasn't the Jews, it wasn't the Israelites, it was God. So even though she was a woman, until the woman arose, because God was going to do something through her.
Wow. Amazing.
So she was confident that God had called her, and she was confident in her femininity. It wasn't going to stop her, because she had heard from God and she was going to go. And so she drew that strength from identity in Christ, identity in God, and the fact that God was on her side, and she had heard completely, she had developed a relationship with such a state that she could hear from him.
That's true. Yeah.
Because right now there are so many voices.
That's right.
And you know how we women, we go from place to place.
That's right.
You know, if you don't take care, you'll be listening to voices that you shouldn't be listening to.
Yeah.
But this is a woman who had developed a relationship with her God and could discern his voice for what he had called her to do.
She's a wise leader, and you know, for her to be wise, again, like you always say, you need to be in the presence of God. I mean, I just want to liken to the modern woman right now, as we said, you know, you are in ministry, you have a secular job, you are a mother. How do you juggle all this, you know, except in the presence, like say, our time with in the presence of God is something that we cannot trade for anything.
It's paramount, it's imperative
number one,
that you do that. You draw your strength and you get the strategy from and stuff like that. But I wouldn't tell you it's easy.
It's not.
I wouldn't tell you it's easy, you know. But faithful is He who's called us.
That's right.
And once you know He's called you to wherever He's called you to, you just have to obey.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you are blessed where He puts you. So once you obey, He gives you the strength. He gives you the ability, the resources with you throughout. So He gives you the wisdom to be able to see which ones needs to be done, which ones you need to delegate, because you can't carry everything. So, but you know, and He brings the right people alongside you too, for you to work with, because we have to work as a team with others. Do you get me? If you're in ministry, if you're on the front line, you can't do everything on your own. Like God brings the right people alongside you, and yeah.
Yeah, and again, like just to add to what a wise leader always recognize the people that God brings to support the work.
Yeah.
And that way, because if you look at, God told her to do some, what she should do, and God told her, and she told Barak, and look at Barak saying that, you know, I will not go until you tell me to go. So she know who to direct her, you know, to direct to do the work, really, to the right people to do the work. And I think that's one of her qualities that I admire as well.
I mean, she knew that in Israel, when you go into war, these are the people who lead. But God had also told her that it is this man from Naphtali who is got to go. So she just followed God's instruction to the letter.
Exactly.
You know, and when Barak said, I'm not going until you come with me, she didn't back down, but she said, okay, I'm going to go with you. But once again, it's because you hesitating, God is going to give the glory to somebody. But this is somebody who is going to go the whole length.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't going to stop halfway. You know, once she's heard that God is saying do this, she's just like, I've got to do it, you know, and it's got to come. And God showed Himself faithful. And it says that after that, Israel rested 40 years.
Wow.
You know,
just by the act of one woman.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, I subtitled this topic, The Woman on the Front, the woman, her position and her ministry. How does a woman in ministry juggle all this? So that she's not weighed down by one of them, you know, she's able to maintain that balance. Can you share? I know you've said
For me personally, I see everything as a ministry. I see my secular job as a ministry.
Key. Woman of God, that is the key there, right there.
I see raising my children as a ministry. I see my counseling as a ministry. I see my relationship with others as a ministry. In whatever sphere I find myself. And that is what keeps me. Obviously, I've got the churches that I look at and the members. And that is so in everything, I just ask God, obviously, in each circumstance, in each sphere, I need to hear from God about what He wants me to do. And once I think God is calling me to do this, I think like Deborah, I just go for it. I just go for it. There are challenges. There can be challenges. If you're a woman in a ministry... Can you
share light on some of the challenges? Just to encourage somebody watching us.
It is funny because if you're a woman in ministry, in church ministry, or as opposed to other things, but so you're like a minister, a pastor, or a reverend minister, or you know, whatever capacity you find yourself in a church, and leading, and where men, you're also leading men, you know, and you also walk among other reverend ministers who are mainly men. Sometimes you feel they've forgotten about you as a woman. Sometimes you got to remind them that I'm also here.
God didn't make a mistake calling
me. So somebody got to let your presence felt in a nice way. You know.
That's true.
So that's one challenge I find, working with men, your colleagues who are men, you know, making your voice heard. Because sometimes they think, oh, women are the softer side, so they shouldn't. Maybe they think, oh, don't worry, let's worry her because she's a woman. Or let the men do it because this is men's stuff, you know. But no, it's not men's stuff. It's ministry stuff.
It's ministry,
you know. And it's not me. It's not a woman or a man. It's the spirit that is in me, it's the same spirit that is in the men. So the spirit can do what he wants to do in me as much as what he wants to do in the men. You know, so you always have to remind them in a nice way. But having said that, it works well. You know, we complement each other. So that's one big challenge I find there.
I mean, one of the qualities I admire about Deborah is that she's in for the service, not to take the glory to himself.
No.
you know. And that's one thing that we should really remember, that you are called by God, which means that you cannot do anything without Him. And you need Him. You cannot take the glory for yourself. No way.
No, you can't, because at the end of the day, you are not the one doing the work.
Exactly.
You know? And that is why I think we
and you
ministers,
are dealing with people.
Yeah. We should point them to the Savior.
Yeah.
We should point them to the one who can really help them.
Yeah, because He created them, isn't He?
Yeah. I mean, I think we should see ourselves probably as midwives, really, that we help to deliver the baby, you know,
that's true.
You know, and we hand the baby over to the person who will look after the baby, you know. Yeah. So, but it's not easy juggling everything, because at the end of the day, you only have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, that is true. So, you know, again, one of the things that I also wrote about lessons in that we can learn from Deborah's life is that God always chooses leaders by His standards. You know, God doesn't choose somebody because the person is this A or B, but He chooses by His standards. So God knows He knows who He wants to use. And so He can use anyone. So women on the front line that we're talking about, it's not just limited to ministers, but it can be mothers, wives, you know, single, divorcee, widows, everyone. God can. It's just you availing yourself.
I mean, God uses anybody at any time for a particular purpose. You know, no matter what your circumstance. That's why wherever you are is ministry.
That's right.
God can use you there at that particular time. If you're a mother, housewife at this moment, that is what God has called you to do at this moment.
A season in your life.
That is what He's doing. And if He wants you to move on at a certain time to do something else, He will give you the ability and the resources and the gifts that you need for that time. And then you will do that as well. But as you said, you know, He calls, last time we talked about the nameless woman. It doesn't matter your background, whether you are from elite place or not, God can use you. No matter where, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are black or white, whatever, whoever, God calls you and He delights in you. He delights in you and He wants to work in partnership with you. Do you get me? So,
that is really true. You know, also one of the things that I think she challenges us in so many ways, Deborah, her story really. And one of the things that I put down is that she also reminds us that we should always be available to God and to others as well, just as you said, and also just that we need to be a people that can really accomplish we should know that we can only accomplish what God wants us to accomplish if we allow God to be in control, really. So just throwing light to what you have said, actually. And, you know, as also one of the things that I can also say I can learn from her life is that she's not power hungry. Women, we are not called to be power hungry. No. We are not called to be like that. People, you don't have to be power hungry, because can you imagine when God said, okay, talk to Barak. If you are power hungry, you would think, okay, he's going to take all the glory. Why should I put myself in that situation? You know, but But
I mean, she followed what God's instructions at that time. Because you see, if God calls you, He equips you to do the work. You know, and as I said, it's God's work, and you do what He's called you to do. You don't do things in your own power. Otherwise, you're going to fail. That's right. Do you get me? Right. And at the end of the day, the glory goes to Him, because He's the one who is doing everything. You're just a vessel that He's using, and you should count yourself really privileged. That's such an omnipotent God who can use. I mean, He doesn't even have to. You can just do that, and whatever He wants to be done could be done. But He chooses to work with us, we mortals, you know. And that is amazing in whatever sphere. And so wherever we find ourselves, that should be our focus, really. I'm sure when he found himself sitting as a judge, he knew that he was doing that particular thing to please God. When she had to be a wife at home, she was doing that to please God, and she knew her role there. So if I'm at work, I need to know that I'm under some authority there. I'm under my employers, and I need to be there. I need to behave like that. I have my other colleagues. But then in my mind too, I'm a Christian. And so I should be portraying Christ in the all I'm doing.
Really hard, you know. that can be a hard place to be
It
in as
is.
well. Yeah, yeah.
It is. That's why I said it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But we've been called to do that, and God empowers us to do. You see, and there's something that I call the opposite spirit, living in the opposite spirit, where, for instance, somebody expects you to behave in a certain way because of what they've done. And they think because you're a woman, you'll behave in a certain way. They said, oh, you come and do the womanly thing. You come and be throwing your hands around and think. So I work doing the opposite direction. You expect me to behave that way so that you can say, oh, you women or you Christians, why are you doing that? You say you're a Christian. So I'm always conscious that God might give me an opportunity to witness to this person. So I must behave properly this time round, so that when the opportunity comes, this person wouldn't say, so why did you behave like that the last time? But he said, oh, that's why the other time you behaved in this way. So I see every opportunity that comes, anything, incident as an opportunity for me, that maybe one day God will use to bring this person to himself, especially if the person is not a Christian.
Okay, let's look at our role as mothers. Because you and I, we are all mothers. You know, how do we balance that with ministry?
Yeah. You know, you see, as I say, you see your family as a ministry, and I think your family is very, very important. Yeah. And I think your family should come first. Your family, because if your child is sick, why do you leave your child sick at home and say you're going to seek somebody else, do a ministry somewhere, or pray for somebody else? Because you can also be praying for your child. You see, because we don't want your family to feel neglected. Because if you neglect your family and you put the ministry above them, some of them might even resent the ministry, and some of them might rebel. Yeah. They will think you don't love them as much as you do God. Do you get me? Yeah. So then, so I think you should also let them know how much you love them, and also bring them into the ministry if it's possible. You know, especially if you're a woman and you are married and you're in the front line. Sometimes, if you don't take care, your husband's ego will be affected. You know, if you're always away, you're always going to these meetings, you are also traveling here and not considering the needs of the husband. You're not doing anything good to the family. You're not doing yourself any favors back home. And I don't think God is going to be pleased with you by neglecting your, your family and putting, So I think the family is very important. We should have time, maybe time away with the family, time away with the husband alone to discuss things with their children, let them feel loved. And if you can involve them in the ministry, that is even better.
I mean, we've said a lot about this woman. One of her strengths, I just look highlighting on what you said. Really, one of her strengths for me, one of her strengths and accomplishment is that, just as we said earlier on, she's one of the only female judge in the whole history of Israel, and she has. We also can see a special abilities that God gave her. She was a mediator. She was a female judge. She was also an advisor and a counselor, and we can learn so much from her. And she, one of the things that for her that we can learn is that when you are called to lead, you need to be able to plan, to direct, and also to delegate. Because honestly, you cannot do it on your own. You need to know how to do all these things so that.
Yeah, you see, and then, because God calls us to lead in different places. Yeah. And we find ourselves doing most of the things that Deborah did in different dimensions, different spheres of life. If you're a mother, you find yourself as a counselor, anyway, in your role as a mother. You find yourself as an advisor, anyway, in that role. Do you get me? Yeah. So, we do all that she did. The only thing, sometimes we can even say we are not warriors, but we are warriors. Yeah. When we go into the war front in prayer and war for our family, we are just warriors there. Do you get me? Yeah. So all these things that Deborah exhibited, we do also exhibit them in various ways, in various spheres that God calls us to be. And that is just amazing that our names may not be known, but we are also Deborahs in our own ways, wherever God's placed us, and He empowers us. And as I said, we should draw strength, really, that like Deborah did from God, and use our position, no matter where we find ourselves, to serve and to bring glory to Him.
That's true. Okay, on this note, woman of God, we've come to the end of this segment. it's such a blessing to have you on this show, and I'm really pleased that you were able to take time. You said so many things and giving us insight into Deborah in a way that I'm like, oh, I'm glad you are my friend because I know where I can go for all this here. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for availing yourself. And I believe our viewers have been blessed and been encouraged by what you said. So yeah, women are on the front line. Who are women on the front line? We just want to encourage you out there, mothers and wives, widow, divorcee, whoever you are. You shouldn't just allow that to prevent you from coming out and be all that God wants you to be. Take example from Deborah's life. Deborah went all the way to do what God asked her to do, regardless of what is going on around her. She did exactly what God told her to do. And she had a relationship with God, and she drew her strength and her confidence from that. So we can learn from these women in the Bible. And our passion here at Woman One to One is to help you to look at the stories of these women in the Bible and relate them to our modern day life, for all that we are going through, because they are our role models. We can learn so much from them. They are in the Bible. Their stories are written there for us to really live up to what they did. And it's the same God that they serve. We are serving the same God. It's a different era, but it's the same God and it's the same circumstances that we all are going through. So thank you so much for watching. So until next week, same time, same channel. God bless you.